go. Time to go to film school. Dr. Joe Fortunato takes us there each and every Friday at this time. Always look forward to our Friday visits with Joe, and I really love this next movie he's going to get into us. We're going to go back to the early 1990s, and Dr. Joe Fortunato, take it from there, my friend.
We've got another good one today. Thelma and Louise from 1991, released in May of 1991, so celebrating a 35th anniversary this year. Directed by Ridley Scott, written by Callie Curry. It stars Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis, of course. Also, Harvey Keitel, Brad Pitt, Michael Madsen, and Christopher McDonald. It had 6 Oscar nominations, including a rare double Best Actress nomination for both Davis and Sarandon. It only won 1 Oscar, and that was for Best Screenplay, but it was a big one, a big win for Callie Curry. There was a number of directors originally considered to direct this film. Brian De Palma, John Carpenter, Sidney Lumet, Bob Rafelson, all were considered to direct this film. But before Brad Pitt was cast, and people might remember Brad Pitt had a relatively small but pivotal role in the film, and this is kind of what put him on the map. Before Brad Pitt was cast, the role was going to go to William Baldwin, but he ended up dropping out, and George Clooney was rejected a few times. Mark Ruffalo also auditioned. Eventually, the role went to Robert Downey Jr., but really said that he was too short compared to Gina Davis. So Gina Davis was actually the one who picked Brad Pitt to do the part. So we'll talk a little bit more about casting, but I thought that was kind of interesting right out of the gate. Another big star of the film is the car, a 1966 Thunderbird convertible. There were 5 of those convertibles used throughout the shoot. There was 1 star car, which was sort of the main car, 1 camera car, 1 backup car, and 2 stunt cars. So a number of Thunderbird convertibles for you automobile fans out there. Talking about some casting, and this is even more alternative what might have been rather than just random casting. Originally, Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep wanted to make this film together. And this movie was one of the scripts that they were considering. Ultimately, they didn't do this film, but they got their chance opposite each other in Death Becomes Her a year later in 1992. Michelle Pfeiffer and Jodie Foster then were paired to do the film together as the co-leads, and actually had accepted both roles, but pre-production went too long and they had to drop out due to other commitments. So kind of what might have been, and then another final what might have been, Meryl Streep and Cher together. Streep turned down the offer in favor of taking on lighter, more comedic roles, while Cher turned it down in order to focus more on her music career. So quite a number of what might have been pairings there. And like I said, Michelle Pfeiffer was one of those people. She has since said that passing on this film was one of the biggest regrets of her career.
I could see that for sure. You know, the one thing I like about this movie is it has something for everyone, Joe, and I know you're going to dig into that, but you mentioned the cars, which I always love seeing that car, but then you have the friendship, the kinship, the comedy, the tragedy, the emotion. It's got a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah, it really does, and Ridley Scott sort of watched and modeled some of the inspiration for this movie off of the movie Badlands from 1973, which is about 2 young fugitives, although they are a couple on the run, but there are some similarities there. You can kind of see that. Originally, Callie Curry, the writer, planned to direct the film herself on a very low budget with a documentary feel to it. But then Ridley Scott stepped in. As I said, a number of other directors were mentioned. But Scott wanted to take on this film because he was afraid of getting pigeonholed as a big-time, big-budget fantasy director. And this was more of a character piece, although there definitely is some action and chase scenes and things like that in the film. In the documentary, The Celluloid Closet, Susan Sarandon said that she added the kiss between Louise and Thelma at the end of the movie. I guess I should give some spoiler alerts here. But Sarandon said that she only told her co-star Gina Davis and no one else on the set that she was going to kiss her. So that sort of famous or infamous kiss was not planned other than by the 2 actresses themselves. No one on the crew knew what they were planning on doing. And at one point, again, spoiler alerts on the ending here, at one point during production, Ridley Scott considered changing the ending of having Thelma survive after being pushed out of the car by Louise right before she went over the cliff. And then the studio was very resistant to having the downbeat ending that is kind of currently the ending by most people's opinion. And they were very keen to find an alternative, but they weren't unable to find anything that they liked better than the ending that we end up getting in the movie as is. So again, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, but this is, like I said, we're going on 35 years. So
yeah, I don't know how much spoiler you're doing. I have to tell you, the ending scene, though, Joe, I remember seeing it the first time. I was kind of like shocked and surprised, but I didn't find it a big downer because these were two friends that were kind of through it all, including tragedy, you know?
I agree. I mean, it's a downer on one side because people end up passing away, but they do it on their own terms, and that's sort of uplifting in its own way. I'll just give you one more quick story here.
Sure.
Gina Davis was at the time separated from her second husband, Jeff Goldblum, right after filming wrapped, and neither of them commented on the split, but one gossip columnist said that Gina Davis had kind of gone bananas for the young Brad Pitt, who she has a fling with in the movie. Jason Priestley, who was friends with Brad Pitt at the time, wrote that yes, indeed, Brad Pitt and Gina Davis did have a little bit of a real life affair. And to make it even more awkward, and how do I say this family friendly, but during their sex scene together, Brad Pitt got very embarrassed because he inadvertently got excited about the scene. Shall we put it that way?
That's some little behind the scenes tidbits for us this morning. Thelma and Louise. Anything else on that one, Joe?
No, I said, we talked a lot about casting, and I think some of those are pretty fun. There was
Harvey Keitel's kind of cool in the movie too.
Harvey Keitel is great, and like I said, there's Brad Pitt kind of making his star turn in this. So there's a number of other what might have been as well, but all in all, a great film, and really well done, and I'm happy to share it today.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, Thelma and Louise. And again, I always say this every week, kind of what's the appetite to go back and see this again? I haven't seen this movie in so long. Joe, what do you have going on over at your website for everyone?
Well, I'm very excited. Just in less than 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a Fortunato Film School out on the road. This is going to be at the Courtyard by Marriott on 41 Furness Street in Akron, Ohio. This is June 23rd, 5 p.m. We are going to be doing Raiders of the Lost Ark. And this is a movie or an event that is sponsored by AGS, Adult Guardianship Services. They do some wonderful work with helping out adults who need help in our area. And this is a free event. The only thing they ask is for if you can, to RSVP. And if you're going to RSVP, here's the number, 330-812-3840. And once again, that's 330-812-3840. This is June 23rd. That's a Tuesday at 5 p.m. And like I said, this is a free event. So call in RSVP and join us, and we'll watch Raiders of the Lost Ark together, and you'll get all my insights. For any of those who come to see us live before, you know what you're getting into. And if you haven't, this is your chance to finally join us.
And I got to tell you, I've taken in Joe doing Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's fabulous. So don't miss it, and try to get your reservations down. Joe, thank you, my friend. Always appreciate it. We'll do it again next week.
Yep, looking forward to it.
All right, there you go. Dr. Joe Fortunato Film School each Friday here on the Ray Horner Morning Show, 93.5, 1590 WAKR.